I'd have to do one of these.
Can you see out of that thing?
I can. I can see. What, are you making faces at me? It's Tiger time. Oh, yeah, you're doing one of these. Yeah, see, I can see.
So, Luca Nation, welcome back to another episode of Luca's Tigers and Bronzo Mine.
I should take the tag off.
You should take the tag off. You should take the tag off. If you guys are watching on YouTube, Cage is wearing Los Pollos Hermanos shirt with kind of you're basically the mascot for Luca Nation, for Luca's Tigers and Bronze. You're wearing the tiger hat.
I got a little tiger mask. Yeah, we would.
The
kids decided that 9/12 is the official start of holiday season, so we went shopping yesterday. There's no way I'm going to make it more. I will pass out inside this thing. My breath is hot, which is not a good thing.
My breath is hot.
But it's like, I'm going to die in here. I might make it like 1 more minute. But anyway, this thing was kind of sitting there while we were doing some Halloween shopping. So I think it was Ian. He's like, I want that. I'm like, all right, well, we can wear it. I guess I'll trick or treat in this. You know, I love a good clock bar.
I know you don't say no to your kids no matter what. If they ask for anything, Cage is that guy. He's like,
God. Wow.
You look tan. Did you lay out today?
No, it's just hot in this thing. Oh my God. Woo! Oh, wow. That's some stuff right there.
I think whatever you did, you look tanner than I do.
It's not a little ventilation in there. I don't know. I definitely look tanner than you. Maybe it's the light. You look like today. You know what you should do? You should travel to like a tropical location. You should maybe like head to Mexico or someplace nice and maybe get some sun. What do you think? You think that's a good idea?
Luca Nation has me working. They have me working with our numbers hitting record highs a few weeks ago. Actually, last few weeks they were a little bit slower. So we'll talk to you guys about that because we're wondering if it's kind of symptomatic of the whole hobby, right? You know, people are in Vegas right now. Kids are back to school. We had a Jewish holiday. We had Labor Day. The last week, I don't know if you guys have felt this, and I'm curious. Let me know. Has it been a little bit slower in cards? And even a better question. What does the hobby need to kind of kick it into gear? How do we pour a little gasoline, a little lighter fluid on the fire? I'm curious, is it NBA season, guys? Is it NBA season, which is right around the corner? Do we see a run-up? Because I miss those run-ups.
I got to tell you, I can't wait to hear what Luca Nation says, but I'm going to say yes. And year over year, it's shown it's not baseball that's got us all excited. It's not football. Football has been an ancillary, kind of add-on, I'm going to call it, right? But what got everybody excited was the rise of Giannis, Luka, Trey, basically Luka was the start of it. And then, following up on Luka, that draft class with Zion in it and Ja. And then I would say, the overachieving of LaMelo and Anthony Edwards and throw up Halliburton and probably 3 or 4 more names from that draft class that we don't even know, who are going to come out. You've always said it's kind of like that Giannis draft class where there's going to be somebody who comes out who's a great player and we're not even talking about him yet. I think that's very, very possible. And yeah, I mean, Mahomes is here, right? Mahomes and all the great football quarterbacks we have and the baseball guys, Vladdy Guerrero actually tied Shohei Ohtani for the lead in home runs last night. But those alone would not have driven the market. Mahomes he's great. I mean, he's fantastic. But I think people bought into basketball. And there are more Mahomes collectors because they're like, okay, well, basketball's running. Let's look at football. If football's running, let's look at basketball. Like I think all of these ancillary, segments owe basketball for shining a huge light on the market in general. And I do believe that as middle of October basketball season starts, maybe a couple weeks before it, you're going to see some sort of a tick up in interest is what I would say. That's also on us. We got to start talking cards, man. We got to start talking plays. We got to start talking some cards,
I mean, we give plays. We give plays a lot. We talk cards a lot, but we can only work with what the market's doing. If people are a little bit bored and there's not a lot of talk about cards, there's not a lot of record prices, there's not a lot of movement and volume in the market, what do we talk about?
Listen, I'm going to do it. What do we talk about? I'll throw it right out there. My play today is by Josh Allen if anybody's got a knee-jerk reaction to his first game. I happen to draft the Steelers defense. I was dead wrong about what was going to happen yesterday. I thought it would be a great game, obviously. I thought the Steelers were basically done for. As bad as Buffalo looked, Buffalo had a lead in the first half. They still were playing, but they couldn't move the ball, it seemed. They couldn't do what needed to be done against a very good defense. They were in the game at the end, had that punt block. My Steelers defense came up big with that special teams touchdown, and that was a big play in the game that basically was the turning point for that. There are people selling Josh Allen now. If you ever were looking for an entry point on somebody like Josh Allen, that would be great. But let me ask you, and then I'm going to give you some names. We're going to just jump right into it, right? Because we're not going to do NFTs. We're not going to do we're not going to do digital. We're not going to do crypto. We're not going to do 10 for 10s. We're going to do me and you. And we're even going to mix it up. Usually you're like rapid fire. Cage, want to hear what you have to say. Right, but we just did a whole football episode. I know you worked your butt off doing analysis on these on the games and looking through these. So I say Josh Allen. I have my commentary on a couple of guys, but I think it'll be helpful. Week 1 overreactions are a key. They're a big thing in our hobby, right? People invest like crazy, right? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the guy that came to mind is Aaron Rodgers.
So I was going to ask you. Rodgers is one of the 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 guys on my list. Tell me about Rodgers. Talk to me. What are your thoughts? Fantasy-wise, card-wise, where do you go?
You got to wonder, right? You don't know what's going to happen, but you got to wonder how much of that culture is just like, screw this guy. I'm sick of playing for him as my quarterback. I don't want to play for this guy. He's a diva. His body language sucks. He brings a lot of drama. What has he even won recently? The guy hasn't won in years. So Aaron Rodgers to me was interesting because, it's deceiving. This wasn't a Saints home game. This was in a neutral site. And Aaron Rodgers just got torched by crab legs Jameis Winston.
Crab legs. That's his name.
That doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, especially after the offseason with, is he coming back? Is he retiring? You got to imagine that when there's smoke, there's fire. You got to imagine that there's something going on in that locker room that we don't know about. That how do you own Aaron Rodgers cards right now? How do you bet on them next week? Of course, back to your overreaction. One game doesn't matter. He has one of the best arms in the game. Maybe you just forget about it. You're like, all right, they didn't have a training camp. This was nonsense, but he's still a top 3 quarterback in the league. It's kind of, you don't know. But I think both questions are legit. Is there issues in the locker room? Is there leadership issues? Are they going to turn around? Are they just going to forget that this loss is an embarrassing loss and then rebound? How often do you see that? I think the Bucs last year had embarrassing loss to the Saints, right? With Brady at quarterback, and then they turned around, roped off like 8 wins in a row, won the Super Bowl.
That happened with Brady a lot. Brady started off 0-2 a couple times, 2-2 a couple times. It happens. Sometimes they're slow starters. What has he won recently? He won the MVP recently, Rodgers. He won the Shailene Woodley lottery, if you want to call it that. He lost
what is that?
That's his significant other. You ever see the movie Divergent? She's the female lead in that.
Is it a good one?
Yeah, it's a decent movie. She's in a lot of other movies also, but that was I think the thing that put her on the map. And he spent the whole offseason taking pictures of him, her, Miles Teller, and Miles Teller's wife in Hawaii and posting them up. I'm a big celebrity follower. I'm all about those. Give me those celebrity pictures of Aaron Rodgers shirtless with Shailene Woodley in the waterfalls of Kilauea or wherever they are.
Can I say something that's fascinating?
Yeah.
So last year, the Buccaneers played the Saints. Okay, November 8th in 2020, they lost 38-3.
Yep.
You want to guess the score of last night's game?
I don't have to guess, but go ahead and tell the folks. 38-3.
38-3.
Yeah. So
maybe it's a good sign.
So my take on Rodgers is buy him now, not because I think they're going to win the Super Bowl or anything like that. And I think you probably touched on something I didn't even think about, which is maybe some drama in that clubhouse. People saying, "What the hell? This guy's a crybaby. He was trying to get the Jeopardy job, and the only reason he's here is because they turned him down and didn't give him Alex Trebek's old job, right? So why are we going to play for this guy? That said, it's just one game, and even if they don't have that great of a season, if somebody's willing to dump because they thought Rodgers winning another MVP, he's going to have the greatest first 8 games of the season, he's going to go out there on fire, I'm going to sell his stuff high, and they just jump off the Rodgers bandwagon and sell one of his top scoring rookies or something like that, you could pick up as an overreaction. Grab that now because overall career-wise, he's fantastic. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He won a Super Bowl, he won the MVP. He'll go down as one of the greats. And if somebody's going to dump one of his cards because of one game, I'll jump on it. Now, before I let you off the hook, other side of the equation, old crab legs himself, Jameis Winston. If you're holding Jameis Winston cards, what are you doing?
Selling. Because here's the thing with Jameis. His issue was never talent. It was consistency, right? And consistency is maybe the hardest thing to learn, right? And if you don't develop it by this age, it's interesting. I'll tell you, he's not a terrible hold, Cage. Because what are you into him for? You probably got him cheap. And why would you sell when? So like your first instinct is like sell into strength.
Yep.
I would let it run. You're into him cheap. Let this stock run. Right? You got into a penny stock, and there could be something here. The Saints team isn't bad. Some people said the Saints would have gone farther with Jameis Winston at quarterback last year than with Drew Brees. So I'm curious if that has any truth. Him and Taysom Hill are going to be a really, really interesting tandem because now you could really use Taysom Hill as like kind of the running quarterback, and Jameis is going to be out there slinging passes. He's probably going to have 30, 40 passes a game.
It's an interesting thing, right? Jameis Winston, I like everything you just said there. Jameis Winston, what I want to say is, if they put some talent around him, he could be good. And look, now he's got the Saints team. He's got the helm, the Saints team. And he's going to be awesome, But the team that he was on before, I know they added Gronkowski. With Brady, they won the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So obviously that Bucs team had some talent. They had Godwin there, they had Mike Evans there, like they had some talent for him. Obviously, he's not Brady, and you put that together, it's very, very different. But what I saw was one game where he was playing downhill, and I used to, as a fat guy, I used to love running downhill. I never liked running uphill, but I like to run downhill because I got this extra, I could be super fast.
You must have loved Lendell White. You must have loved Lendell White.
Lendell White was for the Oilers, a great.
No, Lendell White. It was 1-2 punch for Reggie Bush at USC.
Yes.
Remember him?
Yes. Yeah, I do. He was it was almost like Tiki Barber and Ron Dane. They called him Thunder and Lightning, right? You had the quick guy and you had the big guy, the bruiser, who run downhill. But yeah, I mean, what I meant by that is, when you play from ahead, it's easier. It's almost like a baseball pitcher whose team stakes him out to an 8-0 lead. You can throw your fastball and let the other team put it in play. Because a home run's not going to get you 8 runs back. You can go ahead and challenge the other team because you're able to make a mistake if you have to. Winston didn't have to make any plays. Like, the team did not need him to throw a fade in the corner. The team did not need him to take them down the field, in a time limited drive. Those have been the situations where he's kind of faltered in his career. And while, yeah, you're probably into him light, I gave him as a play, I think 2 or 3 times during the course of our podcast. I think if you're somebody out there who was listening to me, it's much easier to sell into strength. You've just used that phrase, sell into strength. And I mean, he just had a heck of a game. He might not have a game like that again this year. And if I had multiples, I probably would sell one and hold one. It's just one of those times where he could very easily week 2 go no touchdowns and 3 interceptions and just swing the pendulum the other way, and no one wants his cards anymore. So it's just something like him. It's difficult. It's not going to be that many exits. But can I give you another name?
Let's just stay on this real quick. I love when this happens. This doesn't happen a lot, but oftentimes that whole Michael Jordan, who's Scottie Pippen debate, you bring that up all the time. But most times you're not able to actually get a true answer. I think what we've seen is we're able to finally get a true answer. And I'll tell you why. Because between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, now we have a year under our belts. I think, maybe not definitively, but you can say that culture was created by Brady. Belichick's an incredible coach. But you see that culture was created by Brady. Same thing. Sean Payton, Drew Brees. Who's the real alpha there? I think for a long time, Drew Brees got a lot of credit that he did not deserve. And I think the true alpha is Sean Payton. So my investment, my belief in Jameis Winston wouldn't be in Jameis Winston. It would be in Sean Payton. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a guy who's been able to win year over year over year, not just through creative offense. A lot of people call Sean Payton like this trickster coach. What I see is he's actually super disciplinarian on the defensive end. His defense is always a top 10 defense, top 5 defense. So that's what I wonder if we've gotten the answer to that question of like, who's the true alpha, you know? And back to that whole Rodgers thing, you need leadership, right? You need culture. So Winston played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There wasn't a culture like when Brady came there. He came to the Saints. You know Sean Payton has a culture. He's developed a model for winning. And I think that's really neat to see when players change teams and stuff like that. That's what I took away from this weekend.
Listen, I think it's a great point. It's not even one that I thought of. And it's a great little exclamation point on the Brady, Belichick, McCarthy, Rodgers,
Right.
Breeze. So here's it's going to cut both ways. When Michael Thomas comes back, if Winston is practicing with him now and the whole deal, that's a great weapon. You got Alvin Kamara and you got Michael Thomas right now. He doesn't really have the greatest, wide receiving core to throw to for the next 5 weeks. But if you are holding, there is something to look forward to there. Like, that's talent. You got Michael Thomas lining up on the outside, and you got Alvin Kamara as a dump back and somebody who can run the ball, take some help to take some pressure off of you. There's definitely some positives there for Jameis Winston that if you're going to hold, I wouldn't call you the dumbest person on earth for holding his cards right now. So we did Rodgers. We did Jameis Winston. My play was Josh Allen. What do you think about Josh Allen, man? That's another name on my list. What do you think about Josh Allen right now? Is he somebody, if there's a knee-jerk reaction, if somebody, was really heavy on Josh Allen and saw that game and said, uh-oh, maybe he's not that good. He made some mistakes. He threw some picks. He got knocked down a lot. Maybe he's not.
Can I answer your question with a question?
Ask.
What makes Mahomes so special? Like, even when they were down, something was like this. So I'll leave it there and then I'll elaborate. Like, what makes him so special?
I like Mahomes. I mean, I hate Mahomes because I'm a Raider fan, but I like Mahomes because if you watch him play and you turned off the bottom and the top of the television, you just watch the middle of it. You just watch the game, right? And what I mean by that is the clock is off and the score is off, right? If you take the clock off, it's in the top, and the score off, it's on the bottom, and you watch him play, his demeanor, his effort, his movements, they're all the same. Whether it's first play, last play, he doesn't look rattled. He doesn't give off to his teammates that there's anything to be concerned or worried about. He looks like he's locked in from beginning to end the exact same way. And that trickles down to your team, man. It sends a message to your team like, we got this. I don't care if we're down by 12 at half. I don't care if we're up by 40. We're putting the effort in. We've worked, And when somebody gives us a challenge like they had in week 1, they've been there before. And they'll rise to the challenge, and he'll find a way to win. You combine that with the athleticism, the fact that he's, what I would call him? I would call him like an 80-20. And there are not a lot of quarterbacks that are 80-20. He's 80% of the standard, old-fashioned, in-the-pocket QB with a cannon for an arm, right? And 20% gunslinging, Brett Favre underhand with scrambling ability. He's not the Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, 50-50, 60-40, right? He's not the ones that are going to scramble all over the place and don't have the cannon. And he's definitely not the like 100-0 guy who's like Tom Brady, where there's no scramble. You just stand back there and gunsling. There's not a lot of 80-20s. People thought Josh Allen was potentially that 80-20 because he's a running quarterback also. He's a scrambler. I just don't – while he has a cannon for an arm, I don't think he can make the same throws with accuracy yet that Mahomes can. I think he's more athleticism, strong. He's kind of a big bend to him. You know what I mean? Like hard to take him down. So what do you think? What do you think about Josh Allen? I mean, you answered Josh Allen, which asked me about Pat Mahomes.
There was this one play, I think Tony Romo said this, and this was, guys, I don't know why my internet's cutting out. I tested this morning. It's supposed to be good. Trust me, inside of me, I want to break this whole computer while I watch the internet work.
It's doing okay. It's a little
it together. I'm trying to have
It's okay.
Patrick
It's a little
Mahomes
hazy.
stoicism.
Yeah.
Tony Romo said this. He's like, you gotta love a quarterback like Mahomes because he makes it easy for his offensive linemen. How he sometimes just moves the pocket and finds that what it looks like an easy throw, right? Like a 20-yard. He moves the pocket to the right hand. He moves outside the pocket to the right hand side, finds Tyreek Hill. It seems so easy, but if it's so easy, why doesn't everyone else do it? And that's my thing with Josh Allen. Those drives where he keeps the drive moving, and he gets points out of it. I think it's unacceptable that Josh Allen doesn't do that more often. And he did it last year, so I got to give him credit. But like, this is a game versus a Steelers team that they should have. I thought they should have won 30-10. That in the first half, I think they had that opportunity. And those little subtle throws, I think they matter. And Mahomes makes them time and time again. He makes them look so easy, but it's apparently not, because not every quarterback can do it.
So here's why I am still a buyer.
I guess I didn't answer your question.
You did.
I guess I didn't answer your question about Josh.
You did. Here's why I'm still a buyer on Josh Allen, right? Here's why I'm a buyer on him. His division is just god awful. They're going to win that division. They'll probably have the division locked up week 11. You know what I mean? It's Miami and New England. They just had a battle of like, oh, who's going to lose this game? And wound up being New England that lost the game. The Jets are just horrible every year in and year out. So, I mean, Buffalo has no real challenger in this division at all. That's so, right. They'll be able to rest their players. They'll be able to, set it up at the end of the year. They'll probably, get in there pretty straightforward. Maybe they'll have to play in that wild card game just because even though I think the division, that wild card weekend, even though the division is weak and they're going to win the division, I don't put them in that cream of the crop in the AFC just yet. They are not the Chiefs. They obviously showed just one game, but the Steelers look better than them slightly. That game could go a different way, special teams and the whole 9 yards the next time they play. But they're not in the same class as the Chiefs yet. We'll see whether or not, maybe they're second best. Who knows? But that division is just going to make it so easy for them to be able to rest their players and go into the playoffs. And that's important because they play each one of those teams twice, right? So you could just chalk up 6 wins for them right then and there. So if you're betting on Josh Allen because you think, he's going to be a front runner for the MVP again. He's going to have a lot of stats, and his team's going to have a lot of wins. And when you're sitting there week 10, week 12, you're looking at the AFC, and he's right there on the top and winning the games and playing against easy defenses and rock. That's all going to be there. He just started off with a stinker, and his stats weren't even that terrible. He's got to try to not get sacked as often, but he also needs some help. I mean, who's the running back there? What do you got? Singletary? I mean, what do you got going on back there? That's the other part with these quarterbacks, right? It's great. He can be the most talented person on earth, right? Mahomes is great. Kelsey is a stud. That is a first ballot Hall of Famer who makes all of the plays. Tyreek Hill is an athletic freak. Mecole Hardman would be a number one receiver on any other team, right? And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's got a really cool name. And he's also a good football player. So
he's really good.
Where are those
little
guys?
Running backs are tough to tackle too.
Little, but he's not little. Like he's big, but he's short. He's got a good low center of gravity. Yeah, low center of gravity. I mean, so tell me,
but that's a tough tackle.
Who's the Kelsey and the Clyde Edwards-Helaire and the Tyreek Hill? Like, who are the stud Pro Bowlers that Josh Allen's throwing the ball to? Right? Like, who does he have?
I think a quarterback makes Pro Bowlers. I really believe that, because how hard is it to be a wide receiver? Like, there's a million of them out there. A good quarterback says, you run here, this is your route, turn around, this is where your ball is going to be catching. So, like, Stephon Diggs, I think, is one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Diggs is fantastic. Diggs is fantastic, right? I mean, the running back, I don't know. Tight end, I don't know. The point is that he has a weapon. He doesn't have all of the weapons, right? And I'm not saying that if you just swapped Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, that Josh Allen could do what Mahomes is doing in Kansas City. But I think if you gave Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelsey, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire on his team, they probably beat the Steelers yesterday. You know what I mean? So there's something to be said about that, right? It's not just the QB play; it's that whole team.
Andy Reid is where I go with this, and also the number for me is 24 points per game. Can the Bills average 24 points a game? Because if they can, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Pats aren't even close to that. They're going to be at like 18, 19 points a game, realistically. I personally think this Buffalo team, this offense, if Josh Allen is truly as good as he as advertised, they need to be in the 24 to 26 points per game category in the regular season, given how easy their division is too. Because what I don't want to see is them in close games versus the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Pats, because really then what it says to me is Josh Allen really isn't as good. He's in that category of a Tua.
Oof. He needs to blow those guys out. So I got two more names that I want to hear your pick.
Sure.
And I don't want to take. I mean, I'm having fun with this because I like hearing your thoughts. And I never even think about the coach. And obviously, you're layering in a coach aspect to it, which has a huge impact on the value of a player as well, right? Because that's the system that player is going to play in. That's the culture that's going to be around that player. So it's actually very important. It's not even something that I've given too much thought to. But so two more names. One, I have to go here. I know it's your hometown hero, and I'll give my take on this. But Jalen Hurts had a heck of a game. He had a heck of a game. So what's your thought on?
You called that game.
I did.
You literally called that game.
Yeah, but I didn't call all of them. I mean, some of them I was exactly wrong on, and then you had Detroit with the backdoor cover, which is pretty terrible, but it is what it is. What do you think about Hurts right now after that game?
I think the NFL has completely changed to this 80-20 model. You obviously have to still be able to throw the ball, but if you could run the ball at least a little bit, like if you have that athleticism, you're tough to stop in today's NFL, the way they're calling plays and the way they're calling, like, also a little bit of the refereeing. It's kind of like the same thing with the NBA. Like
just like that.
People, they used to let them play way more physically. So, dude, he has the it factor. He has the swag. He's probably a little bit better of a passer than Lamar Jackson. A lot less athletic, not a lot less athletic, but less athletic than Lamar Jackson. I think he's good, man. How are the weapons around him? Is Doug Peterson a good offensive coach? We'll see. I like Jalen Hurts.
Can I tell you, if you're holding Jalen Hurts, sell, right?
Bro, Namath won't agree with that.
But would he? I bet you he might. Because Bro Namath put a bunch of his cards up on the story, and I think they're moving some of them. Bro Namath's a smart guy, right?
He looked at this smart guy.
He looked at the schedule. He knows Hurts is going to be good, but I guarantee you he has less Jalen Hurts cards going into week 2 than he has going into week 1. Because part of Jalen Hurts looking good, and I called this, was how bad Atlanta is, right? And look, if you make me box you, I'm going to have trouble. You're quick. You probably get in on the inside. You probably give me some liver punches. You go to the body and make me look bad. Take away my ability to breathe, and I won't last. Second, third round, you'll pick me apart. But if you put me in a boxing ring with Ian, I'm going to put my hand on his head, and he's going to swing like this. It's going to look like a cartoon, and I'll beat the hell out of him. That's what happened here. Jalen Hurts was boxing Ian, right? Wow. Atlanta's terrible, man. I mean, they are a bad defense. They were a bad defense last year, and they're an even worse defense now. And there are people out there who are going to overpay this week for Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry, Bro Namath. If anyone listening to this now doesn't buy your cards because they said Cage said not to, but it may very well happen. I apologize, because Hurts is not going to look as good next week as he looked this week.
So let's talk about that. So guys, this is what I do in football. This has worked always. Anytime you have a thesis, go to the following week and look at who are they playing. And actually, if you do that, you'll see they play the 49ers, and the 49ers have a banged up secondary, really terrible secondary, to the point where they were up 41-17 against the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff and DeAndre Swift. And they ended up only winning that game 41-33. And actually, Detroit had a chance at the end of the game to even possibly score a touchdown, tied up with a 2-point conversion. This 49ers-Eagles game next week, 49ers are -3.5. This might be a game that the Eagles win. And this might be a blowout. This might hit 70 points.
Yep. Who do they play week 3? Who do the Eagles play week 3?
Cowboys, Monday Night Football. Jesus, their first 3 weeks, they're going to put up like 100 points total.
So our friend Bro Namath knows what he's doing. But
and then they play the Chiefs. And then they play the Chiefs week 4.
I mean, but the Chiefs give up points too, right? I mean, Chiefs, they don't have a vaunted defense. But what I'm telling you guys is, the schedule is important. You name it. Atlanta's a pretty bad defense, and and I think people are going to be able to dump their Jalen Hurts now. First quarter of the season, I actually said this about Josh Allen last year, that his first 10 weeks were like almost cake, and that's why his cards were going up. And I said, let's start to exit our Josh Allen cards. Can I give you
Eagles,
one more?
The first, so the first 10 games of the Eagles schedule is cake when it comes to not the teams, it's all good teams, but defenses. So I'll read it backwards. Week 10, they played the Broncos. They play the Chargers week 9. Lions week 8. Vegas week 7. Tampa Bay Bucks week 6.
They give up points. I mean, they're not going to win all these games.
Panthers week 5. No.
They're not going to beat the Chiefs. The Panthers are a good defense. They're not going to beat the Chiefs. They're not going to beat, the Bucks probably. I mean, that might give them some game, but they're going to put points up against every one of these teams, and that's going to be good numbers for Hurts. That said, he's not that good. He's just not. And you have to.
It's not like he's playing. It's not like he's playing the Washington defense twice. He doesn't even meet Washington's defense with really good pass rushers, Chase Young. So it is interesting. It's important to look at that kind of stuff when you guys are buying or selling quarterbacks and players in general.
I'm going to give you one last name because we've taken a whole episode with this, but I'm having a lot of fun. And
I think it's
Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray. Week 1, right now, QB1. Number 1 fantasy quarterback, stat-wise, with his 4 touchdown passes.
We're doing some like this kind of buy, sell, hold type of thing. First off, Kyler was my play about a week and a half ago when I saw that left side graph. I think he's got some tread on his tires. Like, I think he's kind of figured out these offenses a little bit more. You guys have to realize, like, Kyler's learning curve in the NFL is going to be a little bit more difficult than some other guys because he's a bit shorter. He has to learn kind of, a little bit more gamesmanship, craftsmanship than maybe a Josh Allen or Mahomes because they could see over the offensive line. He also has to learn when to run, when not to. Dude, I'll tell you, man, Kyler is going to be a problem.
So you want to know why you're more right than you know? The magic number in yesterday's game was 20. You know what 20 was? 20. So he was QB1. And if I told you going into the week that after Sunday ended, Kyler Murray would be QB1, you would say, okay, that doesn't surprise me because he passed the ball and probably had, 80 yards rushing. Probably had 65 yards rushing. You got rushing yards. He had 20 yards rushing. And if he's going to throw the ball more and be more of an 80-20 Mahomes type QB, and not be scrambling and taking beatings downfield. It keeps him healthy, right? He's smarter about when he scrambles and when he throws, right? And if he can do it from a more traditional throw the ball, get the ball out of your hands, and let your receivers run, let your running backs dump off pass, it's going to keep him upright, right? He can scramble when he needs to, not just scramble to scramble, right? You can have more longevity there, and it shows exactly what you're talking about, which is it's game acumen, right? It's game awareness. It's he knows that in order to have a good season, he has to be playing. In order for his team to have a good season, he has to be playing, and he has to be more judicious about when he takes off and runs. And that, to me, of all the numbers yesterday, that he was QB1 with only 20 rushing yards, that's a huge statistic. And normally, I would look at this and say, "Wow, he had a great game. I'm selling." Right? I'm going to sell into strength because that's what I do. I try to take some profit. But just like you, I've been good on Kyler. I think Kyler, his cards, he was one of those guys that was like so hyped up and then dropped, and we've never got that momentum line back up. He fits right into that chart of that huge, FOMO. We're going to miss out on Kyler Murray, then drop, and then a little bit like this, where instead, if we just watched the chart, the mean line would just be like this. So we're on our way back up towards that mean line with Kyler Murray. He'd be somebody that I hang on to. Problem is, that team is not that good, right? He's good. His team is not that good. So ultimately, he'll put up some stats. He'll be a good fantasy quarterback. But as the season unfolds, that team is not going to be there at the end. And that's what you need to have long-term.
It's a tough division, too. Like, I mean, think about it this way, guys. Russell Wilson had, I think, 4 touchdowns. I think he had 3 touchdowns in the first half, 9 for 11 and 180 yards. No one's even talking about Russ. He's that freaking good that people and Colts are a good team. Then you have the Rams who upgraded, and the 49ers are no joke either. So that's a really tough division. I remember you guys in each division you play the teams twice. I just want to say one thing about Kyler running. On one of the plays, I think more than 20 yards, but then he stopped on the dot and threw the pass. why I'm high on Kyler and I'm not so high on Lamar is to the naked eye, scrambling and yards from scrimmage and all that stuff look the same when you look at a quarterback. But it's actually like Lamar, sometimes I worry if he scrambles with his, like we used to say this in soccer, you would dribble with your head down or dribble with your head up. I think it's important to use your athleticism to still try to make the best play, right? Like Patrick Mahomes uses his athleticism to try to make a play downfield. Kyler, I saw that yesterday, he uses athleticism to try to make a throw downfield. Lamar, sometimes I feel like he's scrambling for the sake of scrambling, and he's incredibly athletic and evades hits, but he's not looking downfield. And that's really what the whole point of a scrambling quarterback, in my opinion.
Right, and I think Kyler was more that last year. It was like, I'm going to have to make a play myself rather than make a play so that somebody else can make a play. Turn it into somebody else making a play. I think Lamar, the switch goes off, and it's like, I'm running. It's not the switch goes off. Let me scramble a little behind the line of scrimmage and see if I can let somebody else make a play downfield and then run if I have to. That's I think Kyler is getting more, at least one game. That's what he looked like yesterday. That's what I hope we get more out of him in the season going forward. Because look, I love the game. Now, I love the NFL game. I love these athletic quarterbacks. I love what they're able to do. And we've seen a lot of them, right? We've seen a lot of them recently. You saw from Michael Vick to Robert Griffin III. None of them last for multitude of reasons. Usually, they're getting hurt. I mean, you saw what happened with RG3. I'd love to see one of these guys last a little longer than a couple years playing at that peak athletic ability because it's just amazing. It's just amazing what they're able to do. And I think Kyler has a chance to do that. He's a smart guy. He's a smart player. And to me, I look at the stats and I'm like, okay, 20 yards rushing. I'm sure he could have had 80 if he wanted to.
100%. But what would that do for you? High risk, very minimal reward. Not worth it. I would say
and he's small. He's small too. You don't want him taking hits.
Buy low on the Titans, man. It's kind of like Titans are funny, and this happens all the time. When you have so much star power, you don't really know who to go to. If you actually look at the chart, Tannehill apparently decided to throw to everybody except AJ Green, AJ Brown and Julio Jones.
Yeah, Brown had a touchdown, but we talked about this in our episode. We talked about this in our episode, though. They don't have their identity.
They will develop. I have faith.
So, and that's why it's a buy low. I mean, you knew what they were doing last year. They weren't asking Tannehill to throw. And then you go into this with a new offense, a new style, a new whole 9 yards, and it's like, all right, well, all right. Maybe we'll throw a halfback pass. Hey, Derek, you want to throw the ball downfield to Julio? I mean, it just becomes like a crazy kind of thing, right? And sometimes you try to do too much, right? I think you're right. I think they'll develop that stuff. But I think what might have made Tannehill and that team great last year was that there's a limit to what Tannehill can do. But with that running game and what the offense was asking him to do, he was perfect for it. Right? It's don't throw the ball, don't turn the ball over, and we won't ask you to make some of these plays. Well, now they've got weapons out there that a stud quarterback can make plays to. And I don't know whether or not Tannehill can do that. Right? And I guess we'll see. It's cool. I always look ahead. I think looking ahead on the next week's lines are good, not just from a betting perspective. It's good for an overreact kind of thing. Vegas doesn't make mistakes. I'll promise you guys that. So looking ahead and being like, so one that's interesting to me is Titans are plus 5.5 for Seattle. So that actually shows me that Vegas doesn't think the Titans are a very good team, specifically on defense, and they still don't have their offensive identity figured out. That's also part of an overreaction to last week. The Titans look that bad and Seattle looked that good. Like Seattle won.
I know, but Vegas doesn't make mistakes.
Every once in a while, couple of spreads are out of whack, but yeah, I know what you're saying. They don't make mistakes, but maybe it'll be fixed throughout the week. It's a little early. We haven't even played Monday's games yet. We'll see what happens. But I'll bet you that's more of a field goal spread when it's said and done.
That's where I would have put it. I bet it's going to go pushed up to 6.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, then that's a trap one because then you want to take the Titans and then you'll watch Seattle beat the hell out of them. So like you
that's what I'm thinking a little bit too.
What about tonight's game? Really quick. How about tonight's game?
Raiders, I think Vegas wins.
Out? Really? No. You're sticking with it? Okay. Did you? I saw one of the
line opened at 5, Cage. The line opened at 5.5, and now it's minus 3.5.
So he might be playing, but I saw a scroll on one of the ESPNs that Josh Jacobs is ill, and there's a question about whether he's playing. He may be playing. I mean, in today's day and age, you think like if they're not telling you what the illness is it a COVID scare or something like that? The Raiders without Josh Jacobs that's a very different team. So do you have a play? Do you want to jump into something else? I mean, I kind of blindsided you with this. We don't really talk before our episodes, but I think this was fun. First NFL week. I mean, you're not going to get another chance to have, an overreaction type episode, right? As these guys start playing more weeks, it's not really an overreaction. You know what they are. But I have to tell you guys, I was looking at Josh Allen cards today just because I'm curious to see whether anybody goes out there and just like, this isn't my guy. I was investing in him in the offseason, but clearly he sucks. I'm going to go and dump him now. I didn't buy any, but there are definitely some out there that I was surprised at how cheap people listed them.
So a few things, guys. We obviously try to bring you guys a play that an episode that you guys would like. At the same time, we have Coffee with Cage. If you don't like some of the topics, wait till Saturday and let us know what you do want to hear. So I'll answer you that way. I think we should talk a little bit about baseball. Padres might not. There's going to be a real fight for this wild card spot. There's going to be a real fight for this NL wild card spot. The Dodgers are kind of incredible because they're sleepwalking through a season and they have 91 wins.
It's amazing.
And they have Scherzer now too.
And yet they still might just be the wild card.
Yeah, it's kind of absurd. They
crazy,
shut out the Padres yesterday.
Shutout. I mean, Scherzer got his 3,000 strikeout, was perfect into the 8th inning. I mean, not just a shutout. The Padres have looked terrible. I would love any of you guys to go back to that baseball preview episode. I would love for you guys. I mean, maybe our team can start clipping some of that stuff up. We can also pull the All-Star one with my Ohtani play if that one pans out. But I said the Yankees were going to underachieve and might not make the playoffs. And if it's season ended today, they wouldn't.
I don't think it's fair to say the Yankees underachieved. They're 79-64, man.
They're not going to make the playoffs. If the Yankees don't make the playoffs, they blow things up. Aaron Boone might get fired, right? I said the Giants. I said the Red Sox.
15 games above 500?
Dude, that's not enough. Wins don't matter. You have to make the playoffs. There's 2 wild cards. If they finish 4th in their division, dude, 4th in their division, they're 4th. They're behind Tampa, they're behind Boston, and they're behind the Blue Jays right now. And I'll tell you what the difference is there. Every other team in the division beat the hell out of the Orioles, and the Yankees didn't. That's what that season comes down to. You got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. I think Tampa went like 18-1 against the Orioles. Some crazy number like that this year. You got to beat the bottom dweller in your division. They finished 4th in their division. That's terrible.
I got to tell you, the Blue Jays are kind of a cool team for me. I don't think they played at home this season, right? They're playing on the road every single game.
You ready for a historical fun thing right here? So he's 3rd in RBIs. I think he has 102 RBIs or something like that. He's 3rd in RBIs. He's 1st in batting average with a batting average of 319. A little low batting average this year because in the beginning of the year, they let the pitchers just beat the hell out of everybody with the tacky stuff on the ball. And he's tied for 1st in home runs now. Vladdy Guerrero has a shot at a triple crown this year. A legitimate shot at a triple crown this year. And if he wins it, he still won't win the MVP. Think about that for a second. Let that sink in. You've got somebody with a legitimate shot at a triple crown, okay? Every major offensive category, home runs, RBIs, batting average, and he legit doesn't even have a shot right now at winning the MVP because of what Ohtani has done. So, I'm not huge on Ohtani as a long-term hold. You guys know that if you listen to us, but it should just tell you how amazing the season that Ohtani has put together is because Vladdy's sneaking up on him. Vladdy's tied him in home runs, got that batting average, and he's, like I said, he's 3rd in ribbies. And he won't win the MVP. He won't win the MVP. So if
Vlad's team does better than the Angels and he beats Ohtani in every single statistical category, Ohtani's going to win the MVP?
Yeah, 100%. Because Vladdy didn't go out there and pitch every 5th day and throw an under 3 ERA also.
Baseball defies logic. Like if you were like, hey, logically,
this is not logic though. Ohtani has nothing to do with logic, dude. No one can do this. No one has done this. I mean, war-wise,
it doesn't result in wins.
I get you. Trust me, that I get. I understand from a wins perspective. But think about this though: like most valuable player, the most valuable to his team. Like Ohtani made the Angels respectable this year. When Trout went down, Nobody has done anything for them, and yet he goes out there, he pitches well. He's led the league in home runs. He got everybody excited at the All-Star break. Like Vladdy, he's great, but there's a lot of good players on that team. He's probably the most valuable player on the team, but Ohtani is clearly the most valuable player in the team, probably most valuable player in the league for his team. But you're right, different leagues, they value it differently, right? It's wins. And listen, that has changed, right? Sabermetrics changes it. The best pitcher in the league, Felix Hernandez won it with, an under like a 500 record one year, and his team was terrible. He didn't have any wins. It used to be whatever pitcher had the most wins won the Cy Young. Jacob deGrom wins it because he has these amazing statistical seasons, even though the Mets suck, and he doesn't really win games because of that. You can't really punish him for that. And you're right, baseball is different. It shouldn't defy logic. It just shows you that you can have the best player in the league, a la Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani, and that doesn't necessarily mean that your team is going to win enough games for you to make the playoffs and or win championships. Basketball's got 5 players. When you got the best player in the league, your team's probably going to win more often than not. So that's the difference, right? And what Ohtani's doing is it's amazing. It really is, just because, maybe Vladdy should go out there and pitch a little bit, and maybe he'll catch it for the MVP. It's just amazing what he's doing. That's all. But a lot of people don't realize that because Ohtani's been so good. People don't know that as we're talking right now, Vladdy's got 2 out of 3 of the categories, and he's 3rd in RBIs. So give the guy some credit. He went on a little bit of a diet, and he's having a heck of a year.
One of my favorite stats, I always like to look at run differential, right? So in the NL East, every single team, even the Phillies, who are above 500, have a negative run differential. Yeah. Braves have 100 run differential. The Dodgers have a 234 run differential. Honestly, the Giants, man, that was the call of the year by you. That's going to be – I'm really excited for 2 series. Dodgers, Giants, I think it's going to come up at the end of the year if they're battling for who's going to win that division. Always exciting. And then these teams hate each other. I don't know if you guys know, all you West Coasters listening, the Bay hates SoCal, and SoCal hates the Bay. So, I love seeing these 2 teams match up in the postseason. It's one of the best series, I think. I think it's one of the best rivalries in baseball there is.
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to if the Yankees could win a game here and there. They rattled off 13 straight and then lost 13 straight, basically.
Right.
Now behind Blue Jays. But if they are able to catch up to that wild card, and it's all the teams are bunched together, I would love to see the Red Sox-Yankees in a 1-game elimination game, which is amazing to think that these teams that have the wins that they have, they're going to have 90-plus wins each, most likely, and have to play a 1-game elimination. That really just comes down to who has it that day, Chris Sale or Garrett Cole. And it's amazing, right? Because, they've had war 7-game series, with Mariano Rivera blowing it, and then, the Red Sox coming back from down 3-0 against us. They've had battles, with Aaron Boone, who's the manager now, hitting a home run off of them, and just craziness all over the place, right? To say, all right, let's just squeeze all of that drama into a 1-game elimination. That's pretty cool. So I hope that happens. I don't really put much stock in either of those teams, beyond that. And I got to give a lot of credit. We talk about, how about Tampa Bay, man? Wander Franco is a name, and he's going to be a really good player for a long time. But talk about, I know you don't like baseball, but if you ever became a baseball fan, that's the team I think you should root for. They're like the Golden State Warriors of baseball. They just top down. It's organization driven. They do it the right way. They don't have studs, and when they do, they trade them away to build up their team. They get chips. They build up their farm system, and they just find a way to win. They basically, had the shift was like them. You know what I mean? They're just always leading in stats, sabermetrics, and in finding a way to just field the best team that they can. And in this division, where you have the Yankees and the Red Sox who will spend and spend and spend to field a good team, Tampa Bay has now put some distance between them and what would perennially be the 2 juggernauts of the American League. Got to give that team some real credit.
For sure. They remind me of the Cardinals of 1996, 2011. They just kept churning out win after win after win. It was obviously Pujols was on that team, but they had Molina as the catcher, who was just like the core, right? Because behind every a good pitching system, you need a really good catcher. So that was the team. I remember the Cardinals were like these guys just are always in it every single year, no matter what.
Yeah. But there's baseball. Should we talk hockey? Should we? I mean, you want to cover?
I play hockey. Hockey. And guys,
let's hear it.
I'm not a hockey guy, so I have no clue if this is a good play or bad play. This might be the worst play ever, but I think it's a card that looks cool. Seriously, I love these cards. I'll pull up a picture. You guys out there could do two things. One, you could do research on this specific play, or you could do research on similar cards like this, right? And nice. I'll make it quick so Cage doesn't die of asphyxiation. So this is the card.
Oh my God.
So this is the card. It's the black label, Connor McDavid, UD Young Guns canvas card. Whew. Canvas card. It's obviously not the black label. I just wanted to pull it up for shits and giggles. But like this, I love canvas cards. I think they're cool. I think if we talk about cards as art, I personally feel that the canvas cards are just more artistic. I can't remember the release. It's NBA. I know that they have this type of release for their cards as well. I'll look it up in a second. But this is my play. It's a basic play. It's Connor McDavid. I think you could get his canvas card ungraded. You could get it graded. You could get it in a pristine. Here is $2,500. You get 9.5. It's ending on auction. I think it's such a beautiful card. You can buy one right here raw. I think there's nothing wrong with owning this card raw. I don't even think it needs to be graded. But I think it's a beautiful card, and I think it's very much worth taking a look at as we're heading back into hockey season. This guy is basically the best hockey player of this generation. At least that's the way I understand it. Take a look.
Are you worried that he picked a fight at the VMAs with Machine Gun Kelly?
Oh, right. I always search Conor McGregor, and then I realized to search Conor McDavid. No, dude, honestly, I'm kind of over Conor McGregor's like antics. Like he's so childish. Like
he's smart. He gets people talking about him, and then he goes out and loses.
Yeah, I understand that. Yes, maybe we should do more of that. Like next time I'm at National, I'm gonna throw coffee on Gio and then spill kombucha on Lou.
Not Lou. Leave Lou alone. Lou never did anything.
He'll never did anything. I thought Machine Gun Kelly was like hanging out with his girl. I mean, it's not like anyone does anything. You just pick a fight, and it's like, oh, it creates a stir, and his viewership goes up, my viewership goes up, and apparently we're kind of cool.
I don't know. I see Machine Gun Kelly. I think you should throw your coffee on Rips, because then you're the bad guy. Come on, nobody would ever take your side of that. Everyone would be like, Rips clearly did nothing to deserve this, like clearly, So the court of public opinion would not be in your favor if he did that. But yeah, man.
I don't know why he keeps doing that. Like,
bad joke. McDavid, McGregor, my fault. Next I'm going to make a McDonald's joke.
No, right before this, every time I search
in Australia,
every time I search Conor McDavid, I first search Conor McGregor, like out of like a Freudian. Conor. No. That's another episode, right under an hour. The internet held up, guys. Sorry about the little bit of the lag. Make sure to sign up for our Discord. The link is in the bio if you guys want to stay current, stay up to date. We talk a bunch of things in there. Quick little update.
Get on the Discord. I think I'm going to do a giveaway. I think Andrew's got some giveaways about to be done. I got some giveaways. We get a couple more members in there. Get on in there because we want to be able to give you announcements. We want to be able to announce some stuff to you guys, stuff that's coming out, and maybe do some giveaways and just chat. I'm having a lot of fun in there. I'm meeting people that we had not spoken to before from all walks of Luca Nation. It's a lot of fun, and the folks in Luca Nation are meeting each other. So jump on in there. We're really having a good time in there. It's different. It's a much bigger kind of community. But I jump in a couple times a day and just say hello. Somebody was asking me what I thought about the game tonight. I'll comment. I'll give you my thoughts. But go ahead, man. What were you going to say? Sorry about that.
Nothing, man. It's all good. The internet looks good, but then it cuts out and we're on like a little bit of a lag. I think the only thing I was going to add was yesterday I said that there's a 90-day hold period when you invest in an IPO and collectible. They let us know it's 60 days. They changed that about a month ago. And also, it used to be the trading window was 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern. Now it's noon to 4 p.m. Eastern. So just
right, they expanded it. Yep. Little correction. That way, you guys know. The IPO hold up is only 60 days now. The lockup period. But yeah, that's fun stuff. We're doing good. And guys, listen. Let us know. I mean, Andrew mentioned you can call me with Cage. You can ask questions. Send us messages. Reach out to us on Discord. Sign in. Let us know what you want to chat about. We can focus episodes on stuff if there are things you want us to to spend some time discussing. Maybe football recap, maybe quarter of the way through. Do like a week 4 episode of like what do we think? Is there anybody who has changed our mind about him? Am I finally going to buy Jalen Hurts or something like that? So. Shoot, guys, we're here to we're here to provide value, but we're also here to to hear what you guys want from us and then deliver. So this is a back and forth relationship we got going on here. So thanks for
let me read something. Let me read
Please,
something. I found this tweet. This has nothing to do with sports cards.
All right.
Related CEO. Related is a company that does commercial real estate and residential real estate. Related CEO on the New York City apartment rental market since COVID. Quote unquote. We went from 98% occupancy down to 82% and giving away up to 3 months free rent. Now we're back to 99% occupancy and no free rent. New York is back.
Wow.
That's exciting, man. New York is the epicenter of America in business. Like they really are in a lot of ways. So that's exciting.
It's good news. That's good news, I guess. I mean, I'll be in the city tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow. I'm suit on and the whole 9 yards. Maybe you'll catch me in a suit for tomorrow's episode. You never know, folks. All right. Listen, thanks. This was a long one, but it was a fun one. A lot of football. And listen, tonight's perfectly set up for me because I'm going to root for the Raiders. Even though I think that the Ravens are going to beat the hell out of a root for the Raiders. I'm a Raider fan. I have Lamar Jackson. I thought coming into this week I was going to have to be rooting against the Raiders, but I think I'm winning my league even without Lamar Jackson doing anything. I think I drafted a good enough team. I'm sorry, whoever it is I'm playing against, but I think I'm going to win this week. Unless Lamar goes out there and throws like 6 interceptions and then they bench him with negative points, then I'll lose. But I don't need so much. It sets up nicely. I can have Lamar score some points. He doesn't have to go crazy. He doesn't have to beat up my Raiders. And maybe my Raiders win the game tonight. I'll gladly be wrong about my pick, if I'm able to root for my team. I got some wings I can reheat for myself. I ordered some wings, throw them in the oven, get a little well done wings. Got some good stuff going down here tonight, guys.
Fit Fam update.
What's update?
Fit Fam.
Fit Fam update. Oh, you know what? I'm less than I was Fit Fam when I got back from vacation. And I'm still walking. I'm still doing my steps and stuff, but I am not back to where I was before I left on vacation. I'm still 8 pounds heavier than when I left for vacation. But I'll get back there. I will. I got, it's tough. I got to tell you, if you watched my Coffee with Cage, guys, you watched that episode where Andrew started off with some fun stuff for me. I went right into my candy corn pumpkins. It's such a kryptonite for me. I mean, I'm not calling myself Superman or anything like that, but those candy corn pumpkins, I eat those by the bag. And this is that time of year. And I find it hard to stay away from candy corn pumpkins. What else you got? That enough? We killed these guys?
That's all I got for today. See you guys tomorrow, Luca Nation.
Take care.